Hi, Shelly here. I've got an upcoming art fair in September and I wanted to make some smaller canvases, and I've got a whole bunch of 8x10s, some that I've already done something to quite a while back, and then I've got a bunch of hardboard canvases that I'm going to start with and see if I can come up with something cool for those. My plan is to use some gel prints, some stencils, some faux silk flowers, so we'll see what I can come up with. I apologize for the scratches on my left arm. The cat was trying to get away from the dogs one night and he jumped on me, and this is the result. So I will use makeup to cover that up in a while when I realize what's going on here. But when I realize how bad it looks. But at this point, I'm all about getting started, and I'm in the creative mode, and I'm not thinking about what you're seeing. So I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I'm starting out with these 4 canvases that I had made quite a while back. I put some collage elements on them. I don't know what I was going to do with them. And then I put some modeling paste, as you can see, some texture through a stencil, and then I painted them. So I'm starting out with those. I'm determined to finish these up, and then I will start on the hardboard canvases. I'm using my rock rose stencil in a couple of different sizes to quickly trace my flowers and cut them out, and then I'm just winging it on the buds and the stems and the leaves. Now I'll mix up some blue, trying to come close to that blue that's in my gel print flowers, and then I'll start adding it to my backgrounds. And now I'll come back in with a little bit of off-white and khaki and tone that blue down just a little bit. And as I finish up these 2 canvases, I change my mind on the gel prints that I use for my flowers. So I grab a different gel print and do my flowers over again, and I like this print better with my backgrounds. Now I'll apply everything with some matte medium, and then once I get both of them done, I will come in with a couple of baby wipes and gently tap all over to make sure all my brush marks are gone and everything's nice and even. I really like how this is looking, but I decide I want to add just a little bit more color. And then blend it all in with my khaki and off-white. And then using a liner brush, I'll go around all of my stems and flowers with a little paint just to finish them off. And I'm just kind of smushing with my finger so that it's kind of a messy line, not a perfect line. In the middle of this process, I decided, maybe I should get my centers done with my modeling paste next so that they can be drying. So I get an alligator clip and one of my little pom-poms, and I dip it into my modeling paste and then into the center of the flowers. And then I can go back to lining my stems while those are drying. Should have done that before. Moving on to my next two canvases, I'm going to do the same kind of concept here with a few differences. I'm really going to zip through this. I don't want to bore you with details that I just did on the other two. Now I'll move on to my 8x10 hardboard. I have one regular canvas in this batch, one 8x10, but most of them are these hardboard canvases. That's what I prefer to work on. But I want to use up what I've got, what I've had laying around for cleanup, as I said earlier. So I'm just getting a bunch of gel prints that I really like, that I think are interesting to be my backgrounds here. It's a great way to get started because I've already got color and pattern to build off of. Once dry, I can clean up my edges with an X-Acto knife. I went through my stash of fabric flowers and found some that I want to use. I'm always on the lookout for fabric flowers when I'm out and about. A lot of times I find these at yard sales or Goodwill or the dollar store, and then I can just pull them apart and paint them and make them into art. They take the paint beautifully, and you don't even need a lot of paint. And I kind of like this flower that I'm working on right now has these little speckles on them, and they show through, and I like that. So you can always come back and put another coat if you want it to be completely opaque. Next, I decided to try and see what would happen if I add in some alcohol ink on top of the dry painted flowers. And it's okay, and I get a little bit of definition, and in person you can see it up close. But overall, it was kind of a waste of time and product. Wouldn't do it again for sure. At least not on this dark of painted flowers. I think it would have been better if I'd used the bright colors on a lighter color, possibly. And now I'll go through some more gel prints, some green ones, add a little paint to some of my papers to make them the color that I want. Tap off a little bit here and there with some gel prints. At first I think I'm going to use these little leaves and I paint them, but I wind up just using the gel prints for everything, and I really like how that turned out. I found these little peace lily flowers in a bag and decided to try to use a few of them on a couple of the canvases as well. And so I'm just going through here with my little nippers to remove all the pieces of plastic, and then I'll paint them, and then I'll have to make my own centers, or I guess they're called aspadics. I saw online that these flowers are also known as Jack in the Pulpit. I know I want to roll these in paper, but at first couldn't get them to stay rolled, so I figured out if I would put a toothpick and just go ahead and glue it in there and leave it, and it'll give me that structure and the strength that I need for it to work. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And then once glued, I'll cut off the bottom with my wire nippers just to make a good clean cut on the bottom. And then I'll cut the top at an angle so I'll have a nice little point on my flower center. Next, I go through and apply all of my stems and leaves. I'm wanting to put some clear texture on my canvases now, so I'm going to use this wallpaper paste that I've used many times before. It's very cool stuff, and although it won't stay up as high as I would like it to, I think it'll still give me some really good texture. You're not going to be able to see it, I don't think, very well on camera once it dries, but you can see the effect in person, and that's what will count at the art fair. And I'll do this to all of my canvases. Next, I pull out my regular modeling paste and a different little flower stencil, and I start in putting some of these flowers. I'm not sure what I was thinking in the beginning, but I put some flowers kind of in the sky. For the background, I'm using these black flowers just as markers to show where my flowers are going to be, so I don't put a flower there. And then I put some on the bottom. And then after I get a good bunch of them done, I'm looking at them and thinking, I don't want flowers in the sky. So I go and scrape out. Luckily, they hadn't completely dried yet. So I was able just to scrape off the modeling paste and then go in with, because of the matte medium all over everything from putting all my stems and leaves on, I had a little bit of wiggle room to work, and I was able to get all of that paste off with a baby wipe gently and just have the flowers on the bottom. I'm using just one flower marked off with masking tape here so that I don't get, I'm trying to do this so I don't get modeling paste all over everything, but I do still make quite a good mess. But again, a baby wipe is great for cleaning up. Now once my canvases are dry, I can go in with my flat-sided nippers and take off any really tall points, and then use my sanding block to lightly sand everything down. I don't want to take away a lot of my height here. I just want to do a light sanding. So I like to use a circular motion, keep the sanding block level and make sure it's on top, and just gently do little circles, and that keeps me from, at least it works for me, not to get down into my canvas and do any damage down there. To paint my little flowers, I'm just using a mix of whatever colors I think coordinates well with my background and the flowers that I've already painted for that canvas. And I start out by using a brush, and that takes a long time and makes it a little bit too perfect on each flower. So I switched to a 1-inch pom-pom on the end of my alligator clip and did kind of a messy plunk down on each flower, and I liked that look a lot better. Then I was able to use a mix of colors on each flower, and then use the little baby pom-pom to put the centers of each flower. I didn't record it, but I did cover all my flowers with matte medium, as well as the paint probably was fine on its own, but I always like to make sure that I've done everything that I can do to make things last. So I like to coat them with the matte medium. And then I'm going in with a pair of scissors and making sure that I cut any of the frayed edges. Sometimes a little more fraying happens as I'm painting and covering with matte medium. So I just trim them up a bit as needed. And then we are ready to glue them on. Now my petals are going to stay nice and raised and for many years to come, just like I have them here. And I want to make sure I've got some nice texture in the middle, so I'm using my modeling paste again and my pom-pom. And I'll put just a nice little glob. I'm not trying to be a perfect round circle here. I want it to look kind of natural. I didn't have a lot of cleanup on these. A few of them I pinched the tops off if they were really high, but pretty much they all looked good, I thought, and I left them alone. I just added a little bit of paint to finish them off, and then I will varnish each one of them as well as soon as this humidity that we're having is over with and I can get the varnish out. So that's my project for this last 3 weeks. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you'll join me in my next video, and stay tuned for the pictures of all the canvases. Bye for now.